Hey, what's going on everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and in this video here, we are going to be doing a physical Switch mod where I'll be showing you all how you can replace the backplate on your Switch console. So this is for the actual tablet itself, and this is only going to be covering the backplate. And by that I mean, we're only going to be covering this piece right here. It's going to be the backplate itself with the kickstand as well as the game card slot, or I guess the flap here, whatever you want to call it. So this isn't going to be for the entire casing right here. I actually rarely, if ever, see those online, but typically the back plates are the ones that I will see. So thankfully this is pretty simple to do. You just need to kind of go slow, take your time with it, but it's not as bad as the Joy-Cons here, for example. So if you're having difficulty with those, or even if you've done the Joy-Cons before, you can probably do the back plate just fine. I actually do have a Switch right here, which I've already done everything on. As you can see, I did the Joy-Cons themselves, I did the back plate here, and I think it looks pretty good, but I'm wanting to do something on my other Switch, my main Switch, so that's what we're going to be revisiting. So for this modification, you really just need two bits right here. I'm going to be using a iFixit Pro toolkit, and you're going to need a Phillips size 0 as well as a Tri-Wing size 0 bit. Those are the only two bits you're going to need to take this apart here. And of course, we're also going to need right here a new backplate that we want to install, so that is what's going to go on the back of my Switch. So let's go ahead and get this started. First of all, of course, we are going to need to remove the Joy-Cons if they are attached. I would also recommend, well, not only recommend, I would really require here, turn off the system completely. So you just hold down the power button, turn it off, and then wait for it to shut down. At this point here, we should also remove any game cards that are in here. So if you have a game cartridge, go ahead and remove it. And if you flip it over, be sure to remove the kickstand here and take out any micro SD cards that you might have. Don't worry, we're going to put those back in for sure. But either way, that is about all the prep we need right here. So now we can get to opening up the Switch. First of all, you are going to need your Tri-Wing screwdriver bit, and there's going to be 4 Tri-Wing screws right here. It's going to be 1 in each corner. So it's just simple, just go in righty-tighty, lefty-loosey for every single one of these screws and unscrew them and keep them somewhere safe. Next up, we're going to need our Phillips 0 for the rest of the screws except possibly 1, and I'll get to that here shortly once we're inside. But you're going to need to remove the Phillips 0 screws. One of them is going to be up at the top of the system, and make sure you just separate all these out so you make sure all the screws are going in the exact places they were before. Next up, we're going to go to the bottom of the Switch, and there's going to be 2 screws, and you're going to notice that there is only 1 here. That's because there is a little plastic piece right here for each of these, and it ended up breaking off when I had taken this apart once before. So I'm just going to kind of show you all how to be careful of that, because you don't want those little plastic pieces to break off. They're super easy to, and it's not console damaging, but if they break off, it's just your screws are not going to go back in. But either way, there's 1 screw that would be right here, and there's going to be another screw right here that we can remove. Now go ahead, open up the kickstand, and there's going to be 1 final Phillips head screw, at least on the outside here, on the back side of it, just underneath where the micro SD card goes. Simply remove that and keep it somewhere safe. Now to actually get inside of the system, you will need to look on the side, and on each side there's going to be 5 screws, on each the left as well as the right side. But check this out, I'm going to let you in on a little shortcut here that should make this quite easy for us. You only need to remove the middle screw on each of these. We are only taking out the back plate and we're going to put a new one on. This is going to save us some time and effort, so only remove the middle screw. Now you also want to be careful on these here, and I say that because I noticed these screws tend to strip quite easily, so you really want to be careful with them. So now with all those screws removed, we should be all ready to go. So kind of what I do is I just go on each side right here, lift up gently, and then wiggle it a little bit, and there we go. So that is our actual switch itself, and if you want to, for example, clean up any of the dust that would be right here, you're more than welcome to do that. We are not going to go any further on the switch, so if you're worried about accessing the motherboard or doing any of that stuff, don't worry. It's up to you if you want to go that far, but we are only interested in replacing the backplate right here, and our work is done at this point with the switch itself, so you can put this to the side. Now there's going to be one or possibly even two things that you need to transfer over, and that's going to be, first of all, the game card slot, and the one that could be optional depending on what kind of kit you get is going to be this right here, which will be the kickstand itself. So for the game card slot, this is held in with only one Phillips head screwdriver, or screw. So we just go in here, we remove that, and then at this point there's going to be this plastic bit right here that's holding it down. And actually, it's two pieces essentially, if you can see that. So there's this plastic bit that holds it down, and then this is the actual mechanism itself. And these two we do need to transfer over to our new kit, so make sure you keep them to the side somewhere safe. Next up here is going to be the kickstand, and I'm not going to be using this one because thankfully my kit, my new backplate, actually comes with a kickstand. But if you need to transfer this over or you need any of the parts from here, this is how you remove it. There's this plastic piece right here, there's going to be a metal piece and the actual kickstand. So the plastic piece is going to be held in, again, with two Phillips head screws. There's one, and this one should be number 2. And then finally, you're going to have to transfer back over to your tri-wing because the metal one right here, the metal piece, is held in with a tri-wing screw. So there you go. Once you have all those removed, you can just carefully remove this here. Everything is going to kind of come apart like that. And then the kickstand just comes off like so. So there we go. Those should be the only parts that we need to salvage from the original stock backplate itself. Now let's go ahead and unbox our new backplates right here and see what we're getting ourselves into. All right, so here is the new one that we're looking at, and just flipping it over to the side, it looks like a kickstand is included. However, this mechanism is not there, so we are going to need to transfer it over, and we can just start working backwards. So all you need to do is get this lined up. This is going to be for our kickstand, the exact same place as before, and we're going to take, again, our tri-wing screw and screw it in right there. And you don't want to go like as tight as you can on here, it's just when it stops, you want to stop. And now you need to take the exact two Phillips head screws and transfer them back over. And this is why I've said, just to be safe, make sure that you are separating out all of your screws and you know where exactly they came from. All right, so there we go. We no longer need our original black kickstand, so I'm going to put that to the side, but the kickstand mechanism has been transferred over. So now we can do the exact same thing with the game card slot right here, which it's just going to notch in really easily with those two pieces. Then you want to get this properly lined up here with where it needs to go. It's really going to be quite easy to figure out how that goes in, but either way, if you get it incorrectly, it's all keyed and such here, so it should fit just fine. It should be really obvious, and you should be able to get a feel and look and see how that goes back in. But either way, once you have all of that sorted, those two pieces, you just again take a Phillips head screw, screw it back in, and you're done. So this new backplate is completely ready to transfer over to our Switch. By the way, I did want to point it out, but these are the two little plastic pieces I was talking about. These are really easy to break off, at least in my experience, so you do not want to break them. You can actually even see right here, one of mine ended up breaking off on the original one, but that is going to make sure that your screws are in place. Thankfully, I actually have a new set of screws available here, so I'm going to be replacing my missing one while I do this. But that, again, that's just to show you all, you want to be really careful of those two, as well as the one on the top. All right, so now with all that done, we are going to take our Switch, place it back. We're now going to take our back plate, we're going to just gently put it back on, and I kind of start from the top. Make sure it's pushing down enough. You do hear a few clicks, and that's what we're looking for. You can kind of feel it out like that, but at that point, when everything feels pretty solid and it's like clicking into place and such, I'd say we're good at that point. So from here on out, we can really just work backwards, and I would work with getting the Joy-Con rails where the Joy-Cons would go. Just get those two screws popped back into place. So really it's going to be the same as before. You come around the side here, just like so. And if you only unscrewed one, that's fine. You just screw that back in. And again, just be careful because those screws are pretty sensitive. So with any of these here, you don't want to go super tight on them. It's just when they stop screwing in, you stop. I'm going to go ahead and lift up the kickstand right here, and we can get that Phillips screw in here. Now, if you have somehow mixed this one up, one thing that does help is this screw is the shortest one out of all of them that you're going to be messing with. So you just find your shortest one, pop it back in place, and you are done right there. And we can close that back up. So we can tackle the top one here as well. One nice thing is with the white backplate on black, you can clearly see where all these are supposed to go, and you can see the work as you're following. Alright, so that is done. Now we can go to the bottom, just same as before, and like I said, I ordered a while ago actually a kit of spare screws, so I will be able to replace this. Alright, so we got those two Phillips head screws back in. At this point, the last screws that you should really be missing here will be the tri-wing ones, so you can just grab those four and put them into the four missing holes. Alright, and there we go. At this point, every single screw is back in place. This isn't feeling creaky or anything, so I think we are all good at this point. Now, all that's really left for you to do is admire your work, especially kind of on the top end here. That's one thing I'm noticing. This fits much nicer than I expected, even like with the game card slot. I've run into some issues with that before, so you can even pop that back into place, make sure your micro SD card goes back in. You might have a little bit of issues with a new kickstand if you just got one, with it being a little bit difficult to remove and pop back into place, but either way, I mean, that is about it at this point. I am quite happy with how this looks right here on my Switch, so even just as the final test, we can fire this thing up, and it seems to be working just fine. So that's about all you have to do to replace the backplate on your Switch. As you all can see, it's really not that difficult. It just requires maybe about 5 or 10 minutes worth of your time, and it requires 2 different screwdriver bits. So at this point, we are all good to go. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video. Hopefully it helped out. If it did, a like would be absolutely appreciated, and if you didn't like it, a dislike's fine as well too. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone.